Well, Joe,
Yeah.
it was a great opportunity for us to work with your play and get some insight into what your brain was doing in 1970. What did you think of it?
I was really happy with it. The first time I went and saw it, I just kind of smiled all the way through. It made me really happy. And I thought the play was kind of fun and up, and it was a relief from the real world.
Was it what you thought it might have been? Or do you remember what you thought it might have been when you wrote it?
Well, my vision wasn't quite the same as yours, but I figured, you know, it was easy just to let you do it, and I think it turned out really good.
Did you get a lot of reaction from your friends that say something
Oh,
about
they're
it?
still hop, skipping, and jumping me.
Was that what you thought it might be? That was one of the most difficult things for us to get our head around, with these people hopping and skipping and jumping. And I know that you wanted it to be like a modern dance or a spoof on a modern dance. Do you think it was that, or was it something else?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But it was effective. And you told me I was going to have to give a little speech about everything.
Right.
So I was going back in my mind, thinking about my influences and my life and all that. And that part of it was kind of melancholy for me.
Oh, really?
For the play wasn't. So I like that contradiction.
Oh, well, that is pretty wild.
And it was divided because the first part was free performance art, and the second part, performance art, is already taken off.
Well, we were thinking about the things you had said in that first interview. I watched that several times so that I could, the guy that would put, is it mayonnaise or ketchup under his arms?
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
Steve Raven, better known as Ralston Farina, and he demanded that nothing be documented. So he's been totally written out of history, and he was the top guy.
Wow. Well, that's what happens too, isn't it? That's documentation. Was there anything that you would have, if we were going to do it some more, or we were going to do it again, would you have changed parts of it, or?
I don't know, maybe played with costuming relative to the set, to the background or something.
Yeah, the costumes are very simple.
Yeah, I know. Well, I always liked the idea of, you know, just going to Target and just everybody buying the same pair of pants, the same shirt, the same everything.
Oh, so
costuming that way.
Be more uniform.
Because John Cage, the lady, wanted her to do costumes, and she couldn't understand what he meant, and he just went down and he was and pointed down the street. You see those people? I want the costumes to look like that. So there were a lot of possibilities, but you just kind of did it very naturalistically.
Oh, that's what I remembered of the 70s.
And everybody worried about the pants, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I was going for black pants and colored tops.
No, they have a news show at the Hirshhorn about destruction, and there's a video in there of somebody cutting their pants.
Oh, is that?
So I guess I was just trendy.
Oh, ahead of your time? Ahead of your time? The narrative parts where people stood and narrated what people were doing was actually, you know, there was a great deal of that play actually, because that single scene where the guy is cutting his pants and doing all the things, that actually takes up time-wise probably as much as anything else in the show.
Yeah.
It became quite a centerpiece.
And there were subtleties in it that I didn't even pick up on until the last show, and there's something I missed.
Well, you got a
And I wrote it, so I thought that was bizarre. Because when the people were turning around in the car, you know, there was one little short line which implied that you switch from one car to the other car, from the car alongside the turning car to the turning car.
Right.
But the people didn't change, so.
That's why we were using that mirror, so that he had another car to lean into.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we took what we could.
I didn't get that, you know, so I don't know.
Well, I think it's always that way for a playwright. When you write something, I mean, you write it as you write it, or you know, whatever, then somebody else interprets it. Something that you thought was a throwaway line becomes a major thing, you know, it's a major concern for somebody else. And we tried to pay attention to every line. And we talked about it, you know, was this grapefruit or was it grapefruit? Or is this a typo? Or is this meant to be like this? And so we were very careful.
And I like the what was it, Buck did the reading of the kind of poetry part of it.
Right.
I thought he did a pretty good job with that, got the rhythms of it. And with the hop, skip, jump people kind of brought it down a little bit, so there was this balance, and you could kind of make out the reading, you know, it was there, it wasn't there. If you were real bright and fast, you might get it. But you get a picture of the form of it, you know what I mean, and the content. I once had the guy that published my poetry book. He complimented me on my poems because they chugged.
They jugged?
Chugged.
Chugged. Well, Buck's the man for that. I mean, that was one of my coups, I think, getting Buck Downs, the poet, to read your poetry, and he really insisted on memorizing it.
Oh, okay.
Even though he had it written in that book.
Oh, okay.
He memorized all that work so that he could actually present it that way. It was interesting. It was one of the reviews said that they thought that the cast was uneven.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just strangely populated. You know, it wasn't that they were. I guess you can say they're a little uneven, but the world is uneven. Not everybody's the same.
Yeah.
You know, go back to Cage. You look down on the street. There's somebody who walks fast, somebody walks slow. Somebody's in a good mood, bad mood. So.
And that play, you were a character, but you weren't a character in a way.
Right. Right. Until somebody said that's what you were, the lady with the Band-Aid over her eye, and that's who you are in that moment.
And the signs, you could have. If you wanted to unify the play, you broke it up in kind of two, you could have used some signs in the second part of it.
Right. And I tried to think about that some, and I decided they were two distinct plays.
Yeah.
They were going to be.
You didn't get any fight with me on that.
No. I don't recall any fight whatsoever. It's giving you your chance now.
But you know, when I was in school, I had a avant-garde sculpture teacher who knew Cage, Cunningham, and all that stuff. And he goes, tell everybody in the class, now if you put one thing here, it's like an apple, and over here you put a car part. You know, what do you call that difference? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And they go, nobody in class knew. I didn't know. I've been using this word forever. He goes, Joe, how about you? Do you know what it is? I go, no. And he says, juxtaposition. So I knew the plays were, that's why I thought about them.
They are indeed juxtaposed. Every aspect of it, every moment gets juxtaposed against something else. So, did you write other plays? Or this is the only plays that you ever wrote?
The first part I wrote as a poem, actually, because you had this short story, the mini story poem, you have the poem that was like, a telegraph message, it's pre-Twitter, you had so many words, so you had to write in this shorthand to get everything you want to say in with the minimum amount of words. So that was an influence on me, and I don't know, lots of other laundry list, that was the joke.
Well, and anyway, I mean, it was a great experience for us. I mean, we felt really privileged to do it, and I thought we had a great response. The audience, everybody seemed to like it a whole lot, and
yeah, I like it. You didn't get a lot of clapping, curtain calls and stuff, but nobody wanted to leave their seat afterwards.
No, they did want to sit around and talk about it, but
because I get the stuff like Holocaust stuff or whatever, where people it was over and they couldn't clap.
Right. Well, I think that it was short, and people weren't sure that it was over.
Yeah.
So, is this an intermission, or is this the show?
So.
That's what somebody said to me. So this is intermission, right? I said, oh no, that's it. That's the show.
It was the underground of that time, and I don't know. I just figured, even if people didn't get it too much, it was just a privilege to be able to go back and be in that space.
Well, it's a great thing to document too. Now there it is. It's been done.
Yeah, it's going to go down to the Smithsonian Archives of American History, or Archives of American Art.
Well, look, man, it was great.
Okay.
We really appreciate all the cooperation, and it was just a joy for us to do it.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be there.